The ocean covers 71% of the Earth's surface and contains 97% of the planet's water. Yet more than 95% of the underwater world remains unexplored. From past underwater findings, we know the oceans are a vast reservoir of treasures and secrets. Underwater explorers have discovered lost kingdoms, fathomless canyons, and mysterious objects. What else is down there? Here is a list of amazing underwater discoveries. Before we begin, we'd like you to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Write a comment, "I subscribed," and I'll reply to everyone. The Lost City of Heraklion. Founded sometime in the 12th century BCE, Heraklion once served as the gateway to Egypt and was especially important in the waning days of the pharaohs, which is why it is also known as the Lost Kingdom of Cleopatra. Archaeologists believe the city was destroyed and sent to the bottom of the sea by massive earthquakes, floods, and tidal waves in the 6th or 7th century CE. It was rediscovered in 2000 by a French underwater archaeologist 2.5 kilometers off the coast of Alexandria in Aboukir Bay. Silfra Rift. Silfra is a freshwater fissure that divides the North American and Eurasian plates. Nothing interesting here, right? Well, Silfra is important for two reasons. The crack, fissure, or rift is separating at a rate of 2 centimeters a year, meaning that North America and the European continent are going in separate directions. The second reason is that it offers some of the most spectacular underwater vistas ever, and makes for great diving. The city of Pavlopetri. Off the coast of the Greek Peloponnese lies an ancient city, perhaps the oldest city in the world, submerged under the blue Mediterranean mantle. Discovered in 1967 and mapped in 1968, this underwater marvel has a complete town plan, including streets, buildings, and tombs. The city itself dates back to 2800 BCE and was besieged by a series of earthquakes that sunk her. The Baltic Sea Anomaly. In what can only be called as the most bizarre discovery ever, Swedish divers came across a circular rock-like formation on the Baltic floor, measuring 60 meters in diameter, 3 to 4 meters thick, and standing on an 8-meter-tall pillar. Both divers and archaeologists are puzzled and don't know what to make of the object, now called the Baltic Sea Anomaly. They claim that electrical equipment suddenly stopped working in the proximities of the object, which has fueled speculation that the object is, in fact, an alien spacecraft. Underwater circles at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. Japanese photographer and scuba diver Yoichi Okada stumbled upon rippling geometric sand patterns nearly 6 feet in diameter at almost 80 feet below sea level when he was diving in southern Japan. Scientists discovered that the intricate circle was actually the creation of a little fish, the Japanese puffer. Apparently, the little puffer does this as part of its mating ritual and as a protective barrier for its eggs. Chalk one up for nature. Underwater river at the bottom of the Black Sea. As bizarre as it may sound, scientists have discovered an enormous underwater river flowing along the bottom of the Black Sea. And as if that weren't enough, this mind-boggling undersea river comes with its own trees and leaves flowing on the seabed, and even waterfalls. The underwater river is so large that if it were terrestrial, it would be the world's 6th largest in terms of volume of water flowing through it. It is about 350 times greater than the River Thames and 10 times greater than Europe's biggest river, the Rhine. Loki's Castle, teeming with life. Lying between Greenland and Norway, Loki's Castle is a field of 5 active hydrothermal vents discovered in 2008. Besides huge metal deposits in the area, researchers have discovered 20 new animal species that live off the heat from the vents, which reaches up to 320 degrees Celsius. The Norwegian government is currently considering whether to open the area up to corporate exploration, to bring up metals, or turn it into a national park, not unlike Yellowstone, but underwater. Ice fingers of death. Ice fingers are a rare phenomenon that can occur in both the Arctic and Antarctic, and are also known as brinicles. They're caused by cold, sinking brine, which is denser than the rest of the surrounding seawater. It forms a brinicle, an underwater hollow stalactite or icicle, as it makes contact with warmer water below the surface. The plume of brinicle often reaches the seafloor and pools. Any bottom-dwelling sea creatures, such as starfish or sea urchins caught in this expanding web of ice, are trapped and ultimately freeze to death. Lord Krishna's Lost City. Legend has it that Lord Krishna himself built the city of Dwarka and made it his home. The city is believed to have been damaged and engulfed by the sea. Dwarka remained in Hindu myth as that, pure legend, until archaeologists and Indian Navy divers discovered underwater ruins at Dwarka on India's western coast, allegedly Krishna's city. After so many years, it turns out that the 12,000-year-old city of Dwarka was not a myth at all, but a real place that existed in the distant past. Lost continent of Mu. Though hotly debated among the scientific community, Kihachiro Harataki's discovery near Yonaguni in 1987 is as close as we'll ever come to the lost continent of Mu. In case you're wondering, Mu is supposedly a land much like Atlantis, whose population fled when a natural catastrophe struck the continent and sunk it. Its refugees then went on to found civilizations like those in Egypt and Mesoamerica. Arataki discovered some impressive underwater ruins 20 feet below the surface of the water. Underwater pyramids in the Azores. An amateur yachtsman, Diocleano Silva, accidentally picked up a large structure on his sonar between the islands of São Miguel and Taricia in the Azores of Portugal. The structure seems to be a pyramid with an 8,000-meter squared base and 60 meters tall, resting 40 meters below the sea. It's not certain whether the structure is man-made or not, but there is talk that this could prove to be a remnant of the mythical continent of Atlantis. The Great Blue Hole. The Great Blue Hole is a large submarine sinkhole off the coast of Belize. This circular hole measures over 984 feet across and 407 feet deep. It was formed when the area was not yet fully covered by water. As the ocean began to rise again, the cave was flooded. The Great Blue Hole is part of the larger Belize Barrier Reef Reserve System. The lost Mahabalipuram Pagodas. For centuries, the residents of Mahabalipuram, India, talked of 7 pagodas so spectacular the gods became jealous and had 6 of them consumed by the ocean. With only one real pagoda to show on land, historians consider the stories to be legends handed down from past times. However, after the 2004 tsunami hit the area, the ocean receded 500 meters, exposing a long, straight row of large rocks and some statues and small structures. Scientists discovered that the row of large stones people had seen immediately before the tsunami were part of a 6-foot-high, 70-meter-long wall. The Uluburun Shipwreck. Mehmed Sakir, a local sponge diver from Yalıkavak, a village near Bodrum in Turkey, couldn't believe his eyes when he came across the shipwreck during one of his dives. Shakir had inadvertently discovered a late Bronze Age shipwreck dated to the late 14th century BCE, containing a huge mixed cargo of luxury items, royal gifts, and raw materials. Considered the most spectacular late Bronze Age finding in the Mediterranean, the shipwreck has given researchers new insights into the trade carried out in the area, ship construction, and history. The Mariana Trench. The deepest part of the world's oceans was first discovered in 1875 in the Pacific Ocean to the east of the Mariana Islands. The trench is nearly 11 kilometers long and a depth of 36,201 feet. Surprisingly, it's home to some life. Most notably, gigantic single-celled amoebas with a size of more than 4 inches called xenophyophores, flatfish, shrimp and tiny organisms also living in the seabed. So far, 4 manned and unmanned descents have been made since the 60s, and more are planned for the coming years. The Vasa Shipwreck. The ill-fated Vasa warship sank on its maiden voyage just a nautical mile from Stockholm in 1628 for unknown reasons. Probably the best-armed warship of the era, with 64 bronze cannons, which were immediately salvaged after the ship sank. It took another 400 years for this floating work of art to be rescued from its cold, watery grave. The ship now sits in her own museum in Stockholm, as a symbol of Sweden's great power period. The RMS Titanic. Hailed as the largest and most luxurious liner of the era, the unsinkable Titanic has become the stuff of legend. Movies, books, newspaper articles, and movies have contributed to making this ship immortal, though she sits at the bottom of the ocean at 12,400 feet. Though the ship's exact location has been known for some time, the technical difficulties of raising it have thwarted any efforts. Thanks for watching. Join our channel. Watch more.